History to it. I'll mention it to the folks. I'll mention it to you too. In one of my Buddhism books, I took this on a retreat, reading through it, and found this poem inside there. And I don't remember ever seeing it before. I don't remember anybody giving it to me. But there it was, and I read it, and I really liked it. So I tried to find the author. Couldn't find the author. So I'm going to morning. Hey, John. How are you? Okay. I finished my retreat earlier than I planned. Okay. I've been doing 2-year retreats, 2-week retreats for over 20 years. And I'm just too old for that. So this one ended after 8 days, so I think from now on it's going to be a 1-week retreat. And the first week was great. The second week, too painful and too, I don't know, I just got into this crazy zone where I just could not keep the focus. But then I ended the retreat, I came to your house, and the next morning the sitting was spot on. The next day the sitting was spot on. It was spot on this morning. So,
what does a waterfall sound like? Thank you. And thank you, Lindsay, for the beautiful prelude. Hello, welcome to University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Chloe McElroy. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am about 5'4" with fiery red hair. I am wearing a sparkly Galinda the Good Witch style dress, a black bejeweled headband, and black cat-eyed glasses for anyone who cannot see me. And I will be your service leader for today. I am taking over for Michelle, who lovingly has taken over in the back for Joey, who cannot be here today. We send Joey all her love. So, you're welcomed. You get Chloe 2 weeks running. Maybe I'll come next week too. We welcome all that are here with us in person today, and of course those who are joining us online, right in the back there. Thank you, friends, for joining us. We love that you are all here. Please take a moment now to silence any noise-making things that you have that are electronics that you can turn off, or at least make them buzz so they're not super loud. We are going to begin now with committee moments. If there's anybody who needs to say something for their committees, you may come up now. Or I can bring the mic to you if you raise your hand.
The new Inquiring Minds is working? Yes. The new Inquiring Minds is meeting next Sunday at 9 a.m. Hope to see everybody there.
right down the bush.
About forgiveness. All right.
Women's group will be here Friday night at 6:30. We're doing vision boards. So if you have some magazines you want to bring for your vision, because the only thing I have is cooking, so I need like other things besides food, and some scissors, and we'll have some fellowship and food and enjoy each other. And also, this is not a committee moment, but it is my moment. It's not over for Jews until the last thing is lit. So we have latkes after service today.
Yes.
I'm here for the men's group, which will be meeting on the 20th of January, Monday the 20th at 6:30, our usual time. And it's a potluck. You can bring your own food, or there'll be food, plenty of food there to share. And you're all welcome, and you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I would like to cover all of the exits we have today. We have the exit which you came in through the front door. I'm assuming at least you came in that way. If you have kiddos, you might have come in through our back door that leads out into the back RE garden and playground area. We have the Memorial Garden exit, which is also marked as an exit. There is also an exit behind me, but in case of emergency, we do suggest using all the other exits before trying to use this one because it's the least accessible. And another announcement, it is still flu season, and COVID is still very prevalent among us, as well as RSV. So we are a very lovey-dovey bunch, so we ask if you are not feeling well to please stay home and join us online. I already waved to our online friends. Hi, friends. And also, if you haven't gotten an updated COVID booster yet, I mean, you should do it. Just saying. Just protect yourself and your community. My opening words this morning are from Carol Ann Duffy, and it's a poem called New Year. I drop the dying year behind me like a shawl and let it fall. The urgent fireworks fling themselves against the night. Flowers of desire, love's fervency. Out of the space around me, standing here, I shape your absent body against mine. You touch me, giving me the air. Most far, most near, your arms are darkness holding me. So I lean back, lip red, the heavens talking on in light. Syllabic stars, I see, at least, they pray at us. Your breath is midnights, living on my skin, across miles between us. Fields and motorways and towns, the million light up little homes. This love we have, grief in reverse. Full rhyme, wrong place, wrong times, sweet work for hands, the heart's vocation, flares to guide the new year in, the days and nights, far out upon the sky's dark sea. Your mouth is snow upon my lips, cool, intimate, first kiss, a vow. Time falls and falls through endless space to when we are. Our opening music today is Edelweiss, and I'm assuming it's also going to be performed by Lindsay.
This instrument is called a bowed psaltery. Now the psaltery is mentioned in the Bible. It is an ancient instrument, but those psalteries were plucked by finger or by pick. This bowed psaltery was invented by a German piano teacher in the 20th century. This side is like the white keys of the piano, and this side is like the black keys of the piano. And he used it to teach music to kids who might not have access to a piano. So it has a loud, kind of sharp sound, and we'll see how it sounds. I'm going to start again. I'm sorry.
Well, that was pretty cool. Our chalice lighter today is Chase. He uses he, him pronouns. He is 14 years old, and he is happy that he got new shoes for Christmas. Please join with me. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. We also like to affirm our time here together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. We would love to welcome any visitors who are joining us today. We are a very wide congregation of people from many different religions and aspects and ratios of people from different religions. We have a lot of professors from UCF, Seminole State, Rollins, Valencia come in and talk to us. We've had congregation members such as we have today. It's a very wide, eclectic mix of our lay-led congregation. So we do ask that if you're visiting us today, you come back at least 2 or 3 times to really get what we're about, because it's always going to be something different. And I promise you won't always see me every week. At least not up here. So since we are going to be a nice welcoming congregation, why don't you go ahead and greet your neighbor and listen for me to call you back.
Lindsay.
I am trapped here.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Looking forward to this service.
Did you enjoy your holiday season?
Thank you, I forgot to do that.
Study groups. Yeah.
What does a waterfall sound like? That always is a lovely sound. There will be more opportunities to talk with your friends and neighbors after service. We'll have coffee, tea, latkes. I mean, might as well stay. Now is the time for joys and concerns. You can come up to the front, or yet again, if you raise your hand, I can bring the mic to you. Please just make a note, we are streaming online, so anything that you said is going to be spread over the World Wide Web. So, if you don't feel like sharing that with the whole internet, just be mindful.
My joy is I got new shoes.
Yay! Great joy.
So I started my new job last week. I really like it. It was a huge adjustment getting to work at 5:30 in the morning. Very, very early, since I've been working nights for 20-something years, so it's been an adjustment. However, I like the team. The job itself is like so easy after working critical care for 27 years, so I'm very happy.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I have a joy. With my wonderful husband's backing, our son and his family took me to Universal Studios. And one of my top things was to see the Harry Potter exhibit, since I read all of those. And it was wonderful. We left at 10 in the morning and got back at 11:30 at night, and I slept 9 hours.
Hi, Melanie. So John, Christopher, and Sam, who was my stepson, and I went down to see my mom right before Christmas. My mom's 88, still living by herself. She's doing really well. And I'm very grateful that she has neighbors that also keep an eye on her and help her out when she needs it. So it was just nice to see Mom. I hadn't seen her in like a year.
Hello, I'm Peter again. I talked to you all before Christmas about my annual 2-week meditation retreats I've been doing for over 20 years, sometimes twice a year. Well, the first week of this year went just fine. So everything I hoped it would be, and the second week trashed. So I ended the retreat after 8 days. So I don't think I'll be able to do any more 2-week self-retreats anymore. But it was a good retreat while it lasted. So, also, as far as I'm concerned, the new year has already begun. That's when I go on retreats. It's the 21st, the solstice. So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Good morning, Michelle. My concern this morning is actually for Joey Cole, and her husband went into the hospital last week on Christmas. So keep her in your thoughts, prayers, well wishes, all that good stuff.
Okay. Gotta do those 3-point turns. Allie here. Just the joy of family coming up to visit for Christmas, and then my mom and I are going down to the same relatives in Southwest Florida for New Year's and to see extended family, so that's a joy. But really what's on my mind is last night Mom and I went for a walk around the neighborhood, and we saw this deer and her child. Fawn, thank you. And I couldn't think of the word. And it was just like, oh wow. And just like being reminded of being surrounded by nature.
Chloe. I'm kind of trapped in here. In addition to having a wonderful Christmas with my family the Friday before Christmas, son and his wife, grandson and his wife, 3 dogs, all dressed up for Christmas. On Christmas Day, I was invited to spend the day with Leanne and her aunt and her family. Had a figgy pudding for the first time in my life. And it was just, I felt so welcome. And I was so grateful to Leanne and her family for inviting me.
Thank you for sharing today. If we would take a moment of silence to those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. Thank you very much. Now is the time for all ages. I would like to welcome up Michelle Flores.
Good morning. I am reading Time for All Ages, written by Taylor, so I appreciate her doing what she does. I can't wait for you all. If you haven't met her before, I can't wait for you to meet her when she gets here next month. She's going to be fantastic. She is fantastic. So Time for All Ages this morning refers to early on in the novel, The Way of Kings, written by Brandon Sanderson, for some of the people that know Brandon Sanderson. We are introduced to Shalon, who is looking to be mentored by a very knowledgeable woman named Jasna. Shalon is a skilled artist and has spent years perfecting her craft, hoping to impress Jasna, who dismisses the feminine arts as a waste of time. Shalon was shocked by that proclamation, and I wish I could say that I was as well. Unfortunately, even in our very real world, there is often discouragement towards the pursuit of fine arts professionally. A lot of emphasis is placed in fields of progress and STEM, the sciences and mathematics. And many people that have had goals of like getting a degree or a job as an artist, a musician, a performer, they're asked what their backup plan is. I'm sure some of us here, giggle behind me, can relate. Meanwhile, people who aim for a difficult degree in STEM-related fields, I have a friend who's an engineer, nobody ever asks her what her backup plan is. They're never asked such questions, despite having just as much of a chance to fail as those liberal art counterparts. Indeed. So, I believe that there are no useless skills, that intellect is measured beyond your ability to recite facts or solve equations and problems. Skills useful in one profession may not be as useful in another. And dismissing some professions and skills and praising others can be damaging. So not only in the self-confidence of individuals whose strengths lie in fields such as hospitality, communications, art, theater, music performance, but to the world as a whole, which would lack so many undiscovered forms of creativity if we were always squashing some of those other the creative fields. So as the new year approaches and resolutions are made, because that's what we frequently do, suggest that people maybe take some time to pick up a new skill. Consider something that you would like to learn, something maybe you've always wanted to learn, or even if it's not like something that you might use every day, right? But something that brings brightness to your life, may also be an unexpected tool or lead you to a path in life filled with passion and purpose. Thank you.
It is now time for our interlude and offering. We share 40% of our plate with our local community. The Social Action Committee helps pick out where we send those profits to. This share the plate is going to the ACLU, which is a very amazing organization. And our interlude and offering song will also be done by Lindsay, it looks like. So cool. It is time for the children's recessional. Children are always invited and encouraged to stay in the service, but if they so please, they are welcome to exit now and we can sing them out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Okay, for today's service, I would like to welcome up Paula Despang and Lindsay Stroh, who's already up here doing wonderful music, to talk about poems and prayers for the new year.
We see a poem, we read a poem, and it's words, it's words in English, it's the same words, but they're packed together in such a different way that they have a different impact than prose. And so we come together to catch some of that, to catch the inspiration of those words and carry it with us, whatever. Let's see what we can get inspired with today. I have a list, and so I'm going to call people up in the order in which they are on the list, which means Caitlin is first.
This is a poetry open mic. So if you didn't sign up after we go through the list, raise your hand if you have
room
something.
for more.
And there are poetry books over on the shelf if you want to pick one out.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. Oh, is this on? Yes? Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Caitlin McElroy, and I use she, her pronouns. I think just a little blurb beforehand, I think what poetry really means to me, I'm reading one of my own original poems, is to kind of do a kind of exorcism almost of my emotions. It helps me process my emotions. It helps me get things down in a way that I can be artistic but also process whatever I'm going through. So this poem, it's very short, but it's about an ending. And I think as we end the new year and start anew, we can kind of close on these bad feelings that we have. This poem is, the satellite is kind of a symbol for the friendship that's going on. So, on these insomniac nights, I watch as the stars shift, and I yearn for you, a satellite in the dark. Your off-kilter trajectory rips violently into and out of my life, and, burning, falls to earth. Angry chunks of used-up matter. What is this obliteration? What is this char, smoldering on the ground? Through the smoke of the wreckage, I can no longer make out the stars. Thank you.
Sweet. Alyssa.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Bajak, she, her. I'm also reading something original. It's a little more rudimentary than that, because it was literally written for a child. Kind of the backstory is, as I've talked about in Joyce and Concerns before, my best friend just had her first child, and the gift we gave her is her first library. So I spent the last 7-8 months collecting up offerings of children's books, and during that I was like, oh, I should probably explain why I chose all these books in particular, which turned into me writing basically a children's book, and then getting my friend's partner in on it. So her daughter will have a book written by Tia Alyssa and illustrated by Dad. So, we are just meeting for the first time, but since your mom has told me you are due to arrive, I've loved you so much, I've composed this little rhyme. Your mom loves books, and your Tias do too, so this little library is for you. Each book chosen with care, a different piece of a story I would like to share. Books about horses, galloping free, for they are my favorite animal, you see. And I would love if you grew up to like them just as much as me. Books about dogs, all shapes and kinds, dogs who grow big with love and go on adventures all the time. Dogs named Carl, just like yours, dogs who live on distant shores. Stories about cats who love and learn, both silly and majestic, for more cat stories we yearn. Books I read when I was your age, classics we can recite from front to back page. Stories that accompanied my favorite toys, stories about teddy bears and little girls in line that brought me endless joys. Characters originally from film and TV screen, favorites of mine, your mom's, and everyone in between. Tales I think your dad would like, books that make your mom's eyes shine like lights. Stories about people from around the world, because one day you'll go far and learn about how beautiful different traditions are. Los libros en inglés y español, because both languages are in your soul. Soft books for you to play with now, board books for you to grab once you've learned how, paperbacks and hardcovers for your parents to read at night, stories you can grow into when the time is right. New and old books suggested by friends near and far, brought to you from shores and on planes, from faraway places and different spaces. Stories about the place you live and where your family hails from, because your story is unique to you, your book should reflect your experience now that your story has begun. I wrote these words, and your dad drew these pictures, for you're very loved, and we worked together to welcome you with quite the mixture of stories both fantastical and true. With each edition, your library collection grew. It came together especially for you, and with this library, your community and family welcomes you to our crew. My beloved Renoa, I hope you find in books what I did as a child, escapes of imagination and dreams that can simply never be too wild. To learn, to go, to dream, to see what's on each page, adventure awaits. Your story is already being written, so let's open up the gates. With lots of love, Tia, Alyssa, and Dad.
Margie. Luisa was talking about reading a poem in Spanish today and having someone translate it while she read it. So I am her substitute. And I found one by Jose Marti. So I'll read it in Spanish and then translate it. Cultivo una rosa blanca en junio como enero para el amigo sincero que me da su mano franca y para el cruel que me arranca el corazón con que vivo. Cardo ni ortiga cultivo la rosa blanca. I cultivate a white rose in June and January for the true friend who gives me his sincere hand, and for the cruel one who rips out the heart with which I live. I don't cultivate the thistle or the nettle. I cultivate the white rose. I thought that kind of reflected a couple of our principles. Yes, Allie, it's your turn. Thank you.
Allie with she, her pronouns. I was trying to find something that kind of fit my background where I was with a lot of things changing in my life with the past year, and kind of spinning words that people say that are meant to be positive, but I'm like, ugh, that's an ouch. Like, oh, you're so inspirational, and I'm like, I'm just moving along in my life. Yeah, been there, done that. So I have a book called Breaking and Blessing by Reverend Sean Parker Dennison. He's a UU minister, and he wrote a poem that just fits that spinning of words. And it's called It's a short reflection, but it's called Relentless. At the beginning of the year, I went to my local interfaith clergy meeting. The person in charge of hosting had asked us to come prepared to discuss a simple practice. What word would we claim for the new year? The person to my left volunteered to go first. That meant I would be last. It didn't matter to me because the practice was familiar to me, and I'd chosen a word a few days earlier and made a vision board for the year. But as we went around the circle, I began to get nervous. The first colleague chose hope. Next, compassion. Third, self-care. The fourth told a long story that ended with her selecting the word angel. Then peace, then devotion, then honor. By the time we got to me, I was squirming and considering quickly choosing a different word. But even though that felt less risky, it felt dishonest too. So when it was my turn, I blurted out, my word is relentless. The room went silent and then filled with nervous laughter. I mean, the world seems to be getting meaner. Ministry, as this person is a minister, is asking more of me and my family. I guess I chose relentless because I need it. I don't want to give up on the world, on our community, on myself, on us. The silence continued, and then one of my retired colleagues smiled and asked loudly, "Can I borrow that?" I want to change my word to relentlessly kind. One by one, colleagues agreed. Suddenly the clergy serving on one small town had agreed. For the year, we would commit ourselves to be relentless. It seems it will be a good year, and somewhere, if we're lucky, a relentless angel is watching over us all.
Nice.
My turn. Max Ehrman. Desiderata. All of us aging hippies have heard this before. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant, for they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially, do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrender the things of youth. Excuse me. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune. But do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of only fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and the stars, you have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him or her to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be careful. Strive to be happy. Peter's next.
While I was on my retreat, I opened one of my meditation books that I brought with me, and I found this in, not this copy, but a smaller copy in the book. I don't remember putting it there. I don't remember anybody giving it to me, but there it was. How interesting. And I read it, and it was very moving, probably because I was in a very deep place at the time. I want to share this with you. You still love me. I might cry when I read this. When the day frightens me and the fog refuses to melt. Wow. I had no idea. This is what it did to me on the retreat. When the day frightens me and the fog refuses to melt before the sun. When the accusers rise within me from the past and tell me I have failed. When I feel scarcely valuable enough to live, will you still love me? When weariness overpowers me and I fear I cannot go on. When there's no joy in my heart and I struggle to laugh and even breathe. When I'm afraid I have accomplished nothing worthwhile, will you still love me? When I am caught in the cocoon of past memories and encapsulated in marauding anxieties. When the bruises of the past make me prisoner. And all the things I once dared now seem impossible. When my thoughts race in 1,000 helpless directions, will you still love me? When I have finally answered the past accusing voices and find consistent delight in the present moment, when I can laugh far into the night, and I'm strong and brave in the morning, when I have found the serene rhythm of my life force and can walk without clinging and run without bonds, when I do not seem to need you, even then, will you still love me? I tried to find the author of this. Could not. Google was a failure. So it's anonymous. And thank you for listening.
Roderick. I can bring this to you. You can lean on my podium.
My great-grandmother, Emma Jean Farnham Richmond, was born in 1866. As a young boy of 10, I can remember visiting her, sitting in her kitchen, and listening her to talk to me. She once wrote a poem about a social event that she had attended, and it was published in the newspaper. I'd like to share this. Mrs. Faye Jacobs, representing the Home and Community Welfare Community of Boynton Grange, had charge of the program of Grange last Thursday night. The subject of the program was contrast of the present, past, and future was brought out by several speakers. Modern Improvement by Homemaker and Future, edited by Mrs. Fred Park. We foresee a forecast for farmers by Faye Jacobs. Modern Improvements in Apple Culture by Stanley Fulmer. Now and Then, a Contrast by Emma Jean Richmond in the form of an original poem, which follows. I thought perhaps you'd like to know what we did for fun in the long ago. Of course, there was singing, schools and such, where we learned to sing, to beat the Dutch. Tenor and bass were ready on call. With soprano and alto, the cost was small. We each paid the teacher $1 or $2. Doesn't sound like much, but he made it do. If anyone managed a sour note, as we say now, it got his goat. And the offending member, by way of atones, was called up front to sing alone. In the wintry times, when the air was chill, we'd go for a sleigh ride over the hill, to a good hot supper, to a neighbor, and then hustle back home to be there by 10. No well-bred girl stayed later than that. If she did, her beau was handed his hat. Now they stay out till 12 or 1. Mercy, I don't think it should be done. We had spelling matches, a jig or two. For, of course, we danced in the old days, too, with many a scraping, a bow, and a whirl. None of this yanking and grabbing a girl. We didn't neck and didn't pet, but we did have a lot of fun, you bet. Now, though we've improved in many ways, I often long for the good old days. Now, my great-grandmother, Emma Jean Farnham Richmond, had many children. One of them was a little girl named Ethel. Ethel was born in 1896. Ethel Richmond Jacobs was my grandmother. Now, my grandmother took me as a young boy in 1955 to church. And the church we went to was a magnificent structure of gray stone, tall spire, beautiful stained windows. And in those days, going to church on Sunday meant dressing in your Sunday best. So Graham would wear a beautiful dress, a hat, and pink gloves. The church that we went to was the All Souls Universalist Church in Brattleboro, Vermont. Now, my grandmother was also a writer, and she wrote a poem that's kind of a funny one I'd like to share with you. Of frogs and frustration. Down by the brook is a little green frog that I'd like to have for a pet. But no matter how carefully I try, I never have caught him yet. I creep up behind him without a sound. My hand makes a very quick pass, but all I have ever been able to catch is a muddy wet handful of grass. The little green frog still sits by the brook, chugging with nothing to say. He's a slimy, silly, stupid, I know, and I don't want him anyway.
Thank you. Marilyn? Yes, do you want me to bring you the mic, or do you want to come up here? Oh, yes, we do have several Marilyns in the room. Sure.
I chose a little poem that you've probably heard before by Emily Dickinson. I find it comforting in these interesting times in which we live. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me.
John? I want you all to know we couldn't do this without you.
Hello, I'm John Amin. I've never been to a poetry slam like this before, so this is a great experience for me, and I wanted to try something new. I'm not really into poetry, but my daughter is, and I asked for her help. She's an English major, my daughter Caroline, and she offered me several, and I chose one that I thought would best describe how I'm choosing to live my life, simple and kind. And this poem is entitled The Orange. At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange. The size of it made us all laugh. I peeled it and shared it with Cammie and Caroline. They got quarters, and I had a half. And that orange, it made me so happy, as ordinary things often do, just lately. The shopping, a walk in the park. This is peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs on my list and enjoyed them and had some time over. I love you. I'm glad I exist. By Wendy Cope.
Has anyone else brought something to share that I don't have Okay, we have one over here, and if you would, can I bring the mic to you, or do you want to come up here? Okay. Okay.
I have two short poems. One is by Alfred Lord Tennyson, and the other is by me. A long time ago, when I was 22 or 23, I just had a wonderful year out in California with the American Friends Service Committee, and then I came back to the north and lived in Philadelphia with a crotchety aunt and tried to get a job. And when I didn't, I wrote a lot of poetry. And the next year, everything changed, and I stopped writing poetry. And most of the poetry wasn't very good, but I remember one little one. Here's Alfred Lord Tennyson. Flower in the crannied wall, I pluck you out of the crannies. I hold you here, root and all in my hand. Little flower, but if I could understand what you are, root and all in all, I should know what God and man is. And my poem is just called Birds. I heard the birds wake up this morning at 5 o'clock when all was still, fluting songs upon the air to greet the morning. We humans wake up with yawns and sighs and watch the sleep out of our eyes. A bird wakes up in clear delight and sings the sleep out of the night.
Jill Vita, since we have two Jills.
So I was looking yesterday for poetry, and I collected a lot of it when I was young, my 20s, and it was really like very militant feminist stuff that I had. And it was a lot of like angry stuff, and I'm still a feminist, but I'm not angry anymore. So anyway, I found this one that is not angry, and it's by Edna St. Vincent Millay. It says, pity me not, because the light of day at close of day no longer walks the sky. Pity me not, for beauties pass by from field and thicket as the years go by. Pity me not the waning of the moon, nor the ebbing tide goes out to sea, nor that a man's desire is hushed so soon, and you no longer look with love on me. This I have always known, love is no more than the wide blossom with which the wind assails, than the great tide that treads the shifting shore, strewing fresh wreckage gathered in the gales. Pity me that the heart is slow to learn what the swift mind beholds at every turn.
Lindsay has one, and then you want Elizabeth first, and then Lindsay.
It was hard for me to pick a favorite poem to read because I was specifically told they couldn't be depressing. So I turned to Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who's gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
I wrote this when I was living in Maryland, so imagine snowy, cold weather. It's called Snow Time. A January morning, and I'm at my desk, feeling quite productive, focused on a task. Then, look, oh look, it's snowing, I hear someone say. And so I pause to look outside and marvel at the way the swiftly falling snowflakes transform a dreary day. Soon I'm headed home where 2 fir trees stand guard beside the wooden steps that wind down through my yard. The trees are decked with holly and tiny sparkling lights, traditions that harken back to ancient pagan rites. How lovely those fir trees will be dressed in snow tonight. The driveway beside my house is narrow and quite steep. When forecasters call for snow, I park up on the street. Imagine what fun to have a sled and swiftly glide down that snowy driveway, a fast and glorious ride. I'd chuckle at my silly self, put childish thoughts aside. Next morning, early, I'm outside in boots, coat, and hat. Not much accumulation. I'm very glad of that. The air is crisp, the sky is blue. Oh, what a glorious day. Humming softly to myself, I clear the snow away. The sparkling landscape beckons. Oh, how I'd love to play. Wouldn't it be nice if a neighbor child came by? I'd help her build a snowman, and that would justify the precious time spent playing. Like a parent, I would show her how to roll the snowballs, and nobody would know that teaching her was my excuse for romping in the snow. I'm tempted. No one's looking, so I shape a snowy ball, then another till I've made a creature round and small. For arms, branches placed in the soft and sparkling skin. Stones for eyes, a broken twig becomes a crooked grin. Her hair, long stems of ivy that quiver in the wind. I step back to admire my creativity. A sweet-faced tiny lady is smiling back at me. She seems to glow from deep inside. It's easy to pretend I hear her say, "Hello there, I'm glad to be your friend." And in that magic moment, I become a child again. I do one more. My mom was a writer, and when I was a little girl, I got a new bed, and I bounced on that bed. Oh, I was having a good time. And my mother said, "Don't bounce on the bed, it's not good for the bed, and you might get hurt." And of course, when she was out of sight, I ignored her and bounced some more, and bounced and fell and hit my face on the footboard and lost my first 2 top teeth. I was only 4, those teeth didn't come in until I was about 6.5. But my mother, to cheer me up, wrote me a story. There once was a girl, I have heard it said, who loved, simply loved, to bounce on her bed, and nothing could make her stop. And then, one day, she bounced so high, she bounced herself right up to the sky through the roof with a terrible pop. And then straight up with a wish and a whirl. You couldn't have told the wind from that girl. Now what do you think of that? The old moon saw her and laughed, "Ho, ho!" The little star saw her and cried, "No, no!" And the big round sun tipped his hat. Then what do you think that little girl did? She crept into a cloud, and there she hid in a cloud like a woolly sheep. And the cloud was as soft and as warm and as white as the covers you have on your bed at night. And the little girl went to sleep.
Anyone else? Okay, one more.
Well, you all inspired me. We can't have a poetry reading in a spiritual setting like this without Rumi. What's fascinating about Rumi is that you don't know if he's talking about God or a lover. So he says, "Oh, beloved, take me, liberate my soul. Fill me with your love and release me from the 2 worlds. If I set my heart on anything but you, let fire burn me from inside. Oh, beloved, take away what I want. Take away what I do. Take away what I need. Take away everything that takes me from you."
Okay, that looks like that's it. And I appreciate all the poems that people brought and shared, and the attention of those who were listening in between, listening to each other, and that's important too. Thank you so much. Carry this off with you. And can you believe it? Lindsay's going to play for us again. How lucky are we today?
I also want to thank everybody who brought poems. This is our second year doing a poetry open mic on the last Sunday of the year, and I think it's a nice tradition. I hope we keep it up. Thank you, Paula, for helping me with it.
Thank you so much, Paula Desbang and Lindsay Stroh, for leading us in those poetry slam event today. It was very beautiful, and I've actually not been able to attend one yet, so this is awesome. We're going to go ahead and extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame,
but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
My closing words today are by the poet Jackie Kay. Remember the time of year when the future appears, like a blank sheet of paper, a clean calendar, a new chance. On thick white snow, you vow fresh footprints, and then watch them go, the wind's hearty gust. Fill your glass. Here's to us, promises made to be broken, made to last. And I believe we do have a postlude today. We do not? All right, amazing. Then Happy New Year and go in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay for latkes.
Oh yes, there's latkes. Oh really?
This is, and the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Peter?